Story title: Betrayed by cheating ex-girlfriend and my teammate, and became the one for her, who got away. I met my ex as a junior in high school. We went to different schools and dated a total of 3 years. At first she was the most loving and supportive girlfriend I could ask for. I thought I may have lucked up, and found my person soon after we met. I thought we had some sort of special bond that could not be broken. I also was very naive at the time and never thought I could get cheated on. I literally would hear people's cheating stories and think to myself, boy am I lucky to have the girlfriend I do. She would never do that. Fast forward to college. I went away to school and she stayed behind and got a job. We struggled through my first year and split up for a few months. It was tough adjusting to the distance, as we were used to only being a 10-minute drive away from each other and saw each other almost daily. I also played football at the time, so I had little to no free time. We did, however, stay in touch and vow to rekindle the relationship and make it work at some point. I returned home for summer break. The first time we hung out, I picked her up from her house and we went to grab food. As we were in line, she gets a call from one of her friends and starts having discussions about different guys in front of me. Nothing sexual, just conversations about different guys she's met while I have been away. First red flag: I wasn't mad she met guys considering the circumstances, but this was strange to me, as she talked openly about it in front of me, and would never do stuff like this in the past. I knew for a fact if I had done the same she would be very upset. I didn't want to seem insecure and I brushed it off. I also learned that she had began drinking and smoking. This was surprising to me, as these were activities she strongly disliked me doing while we were together and openly spoke out against. We again talked about how we planned to work on our relationship, and we agreed after some time we were exclusive again. In the past she would complain about how I seemed too nonchalant, and she wanted me to express my feelings. So I made this my focus. I began planning more dates and trying to be more affectionate towards her, especially since I was headed back to school in the fall, and would be in season, meaning I would not be back for a while nor have as much time to dedicate to her. This, however, was met with resistance, which confused me. Getting her to come see me became a task. She also became more distant and cold, plus she didn't keep in contact as much as she usually did. She also deleted me on Snapchat, which was a big deal to me since she didn't have other social media. When I asked her about this, she just said she didn't want me to have her as a friend on there and refused to add me back. Huge red flag. At this point I was putting in the majority of the effort. As I stated before, she lived 10 minutes away and we both had cars, so seeing each other should not have been as big of an issue as it was. A bit later in the summer, me and friends took a beach trip. During this time, me and my ex's recovery process was not going too well, and I could not understand why, but I just decided I would enjoy this trip and figure that out later, as it had become very stressful to me. While there, I ran into some friends and teammates from college. One of my teammates, who was from my hometown and graduated from the same high school as my ex, asked me about her and if we were still together. This did not strike me as super odd at the moment, because I knew they knew each other, being that they went to the same school. We also had many mutual friends, being that we were from the same city, so the conversation wasn't too unusual. I didn't even think twice about this. I get back to my hometown and reach out to my ex to check in. She was mad at me for going to the beach, which struck me as odd, especially since I told her I was going beforehand and she didn't seem to care. She also made some comments suggested I was down there cheating, which was unlike her, but I didn't pay it too much mind because I didn't cheat. That next week after the beach, things actually improved, and we would talk on the phone nightly until it suddenly stopped. Every time I would call, it would just keep ringing, and I would call when she got off work as we normally did, so I know she was awake. One day when I called, she didn't answer, and when I texted her later that night, I realized my messages were green. Suspicious. We both had iPhones. This made me call her and it went straight to voicemail. Suspicious. This girl would have a panic attack if her phone was lower than 20%. I then downloaded a phone app and called using another number and it rang through. That's when I realized my number was blocked. I didn't really know how to handle this situation. I started out by going to her house to see if her car was there, and it was not. It was after 1 a.m. That's when it hit me. I snapped. I sent her a few angry texts and called her a bunch. She actually picked up one of the calls from a different number, and I zapped on her asking her where she was at, and she just hung up. Didn't even say a word. The next morning she called me and had the audacity to act like she didn't get my calls, and didn't answer. She said her brother was in a car wreck and she was at the hospital all night. I asked why my number was blocked and she denied blocking my number. I backed her into a corner with actual evidence, and she admitted that my number was blocked but said her phone accidentally blocked me. I asked her if she was cheating on me and she denied. This was the first time I ever suspected anything. I was extremely suspicious but I had no proof. I told her we needed time apart to figure things out. She agreed but said we would get together to talk about the relationship in a few weeks. First day back on campus I run into the same group of friends I saw down at the beach. The guy who went to high school with my ex once again asked me if I was still seeing her. I got defensive and asked him why he keeps asking me about her. He gave me a look and said something along the lines of, "She talks about you." I asked him what he meant and I could tell he didn't want to tell me, but I pushed on. He then confessed he had been seeing her throughout the summer, and they had been having sex. He then went on to tell me how she had been hitting on him since high school, and she talks badly about me and my family, tells him some of my traumas and issues I have had with my family along with trying to emasculate me. Something inside me broke, especially since he's telling me all of this right in front of some of my other teammates and friends. They all just looked at me and say, "Damn bro." I kept my game face and shrugged it off, and actually legitimately laughed, but on the inside I was literally destroyed. I texted her after and told her I knew everything and never to contact me again. She replied and just said, "Okay." I had so much shit I wanted to say after the text, but I didn't. It was pointless. She then started blowing up my teammate phone who she cheated with, angry and asking him why he told me. He also showed me these messages. I blocked her number so I wasn't tempted to answer her calls and washed my hands of the situation. Later on I tried to cry but I couldn't. I was numb and on the inside I was dead. It was the most humiliating moment of my life. Not only did she cheat but she talked bad about me and my family with my teammate. Someone who I have a lot of mutual friends with. We both played defense so I had meetings and practice with him every day. We also had classes together as we had the same major. I soon realized it didn't make sense to be mad at my teammate. He said he wanted to tell me at the beach but couldn't bring himself to do it. Turns out she was with him the night my number was blocked. My birthday was a few weeks later and I got a new phone as a present, which means my ex's number was unblocked, as your block list does not transfer over. My ex reached out to wish me a happy birthday and I ignored it, and still have never spoke to her again to this day. I don't know if she tried to contact me after I found out, as her number was blocked for a few weeks, but she sent my teammate a series of angry texts for telling me, and then at one point tried to reconcile with him. Probably just because she realized I was gone for good. But he didn't want anything to do with her other than sex and eventually cut her off. Fast forward to today, I have graduated from college and have been with my now girlfriend going on 5 years, and we are peacefully in love. We are planning to move in together in the spring and marriage is a serious possibility. I am working in the mortgage industry and plan on going back to school for my MBA, and she is in medical school. I have no idea what my ex is up to these days, nor do I care. But she recently followed me on social media and from the looks of it, she hasn't made much progress. I suspect she even tried to reach out to me, but when I went to check the messages it was deleted. It wouldn't have mattered as I have no desire to ever speak with her or any of her family again. I've made a good amount of progress since this whole ordeal. I am in the best shape of my life as fitness was something I took seriously after this situation. I got my degree and financially I have made a lot of progress as well. She still religiously watches all of my social media activity. I say all this to say to anyone going through a similar situation it does get better. Focusing on yourself after a breakup is hands down the best advice anyone can give. Find a hobby, work out, start a business, just do something to occupy time. You'll soon realize how much happier you are. It won't be easy at first but it's honestly the best thing you can do.